Hello, good morning. I hope you are doing good and you are keeping pace with my lectures and preparing for your test, seminars, assignments, and finally the examination. Uh, on the last turn, we were talking about the chemical warfare agents, and there we discussed that. During all the wars, right from 16th century to the Syria war, these chemicals have been used by different countries, and we discussed that we shall be. We concluded that we shall be discussing each one of them separately. So let us begin with this important class of war agents or war chemicals, and they are called as nerve gases. Actually, these chemicals, nerve gases, they are in a liquid form, therefore, it is better to call them as nerve agents. Nerve gases, it is a common usage word, but we can call them as nerve agents because they are mainly liquid. What they are? They are of three, four types. They are serine, they are taboon, they are soman. These are the examples of nerve agents. Why do we call them as nerve agents? Because mainly they affect the nervous system. Not only they affect only the nervous system, but the major target organ of these nerve agents is nervous system. Therefore, we call them as nerve agents. Nerve agents is better than nerve gases. Iraq-Iran war used nerve agents, and Syria war also used nerve agents. Nerve agents are they don't have any latent period. The effect is immediate and they affect various systems of the body. They are very dangerous. So in 1980s, in right from 2013 and in 1995 also, sarin gas was used by a what should I call them? That person, Ashihara in Japan. He leaked this sarin gas in the toilets of a Tokyo subway station, and it was in 1995, April 1995. I was there in Japan at that time, and there used to be hours and hours news on Ashihara and sarin gas leakage in Tokyo substation. That the two people died in that case. And later on, he was arrested and prosecuted. So these gases or the agents, sarin, soman, taboon, they are chemically almost the same. And the chemist, they further classify them as Vg or Gm or G2, G1 like this. But chemically they are colorless liquids and they are almost the same. They are volatile, right? They are volatile liquids. If you keep them open, immediately these vapors will come out and they will start affecting the people. How can a person be exposed to these nerve agents? Exposure may occur through skin. Exposure may occur through respiratory system. There are two basic mechanisms by which these they can find entry into the body, human body. It can occur through skin it can be sprayed and the skin will be absorbing it, and similarly if it is inhaled it will go to the trachea and bronchi and bronchial systems and then lungs, and will affect the respiratory system. In addition to respiratory system, it affects the nervous system. It affects the eyes, it affects the nose, it affects the skeletal system, right? So these are some other systems which are affected by these nerve agents. After absorption, they are to be metabolized. How they are going to be metabolized? There is one very important enzyme which is responsible for their metabolism, and we call that as organophosphate hydrolase. OP hydrolase is responsible for their metabolism. After their metabolism, again they are going to lead to free radicals, and that story will begin of stress. We are not going to enter into that at this time, because our purpose is to discuss the toxicity of these war chemicals. So after the what will be the effects of these nerve agents in human body, or the mechanism of action in human body? The mechanism of action in blood is the same. It inhibits the acetylcholinesterase activity in blood. They are also called as cholinesterase inhibitors. Like we call them as serine, tabun, and so on. They are also called as cholinesterase inhibitors because they inhibit the enzyme cholinesterase in the blood. They inhibit the enzyme cholinesterase in the nervous system. They are able to pass the blood brain barrier, and they will be going to these sites, and they will be inhibiting the acetylcholinesterase, leading to the going to the cholinergic receptors. And after going to cholinergic receptors, they will be affecting, you see, the serotonin dopamine pathways in the brain, and the story will start. So the basic mechanism of their action is the inhibition of the acetylcholinesterase activity in blood as well as in the nervous system. What can be the effects? The cholinergic receptor system, the blood, the nervous system, and human body. The effects will be an eye. And if you allow me to discuss the effects on eye, it is like this. We call it this phenomenon as meiosis, means the pupil of the eye stops functioning because of the muscular paralysis. Muscular paralysis. The pupil is not able to dilate in the absence of light, and it becomes stable. Pupil is not working. That is conjunctivitis, is the inflammation of the conjunctiva, redness. That is, these are the signs of their toxicity. Meiosis, conjunctivitis, extensive pain in the eyes. That is the effects on the eyes. And if we move further, we find that the rhinorrhea. Rhinorrhea is related to nose. There is the water coming out of the nose. So it is called as rhinorrhea. And then the respiratory system is affected. It leads to respiratory distress. And you can understand when the gas is going in and going to, it is being absorbed by the blood, it is producing a lot of stress over the bronchi, and then the bronchioles, they become constricted, and one feels as if somebody is pushing a pressure on the chest, and that leads to the respiratory distress. We call it as respiratory distress. Then there are certain effects, that is the shortness of the breath, as it is happening nowadays with the patients of the coronavirus, that they are not able to respire because the virus attacks the bronchiolar system, and the mucus deposition increases, and almost the lungs are choked. Therefore, we put the patient of coronavirus on ventilation and oxygenation. So here also the victim is, the soldier is put on oxygenation and ventilation because he complains that I am feeling shortness of breath. I am not able to respire properly. So that is because of the bronchoconstriction. And finally, we give a name to this type of, these collective name to these type of symptoms. and they are entitled as apnea. So apnea and the constriction of the skeletal muscles, the bronchoconstriction, they all occur in the main target organ of these nerve gases is the respiratory system. The next system that is affected by these gases, these agents, is the heart. The vagus nerve stimulates the heart, and when these gases affect the cholinesterase activity in the vagus nerve is not able to stimulate properly, and the result is the bradycardia. We call it as bradycardia. Brady means related to heart. Brady means muscles, cardia means heart. So those muscles, they are not able to pump the blood properly, and it leads to bradycardia. Bradycardia is a very well established effect of the nerve agents. Then we have got another system. I told you that they are able to pass the blood brain barrier. They affect mainly the central nervous system. It is not like this that the autonomic or the peripheral nervous system are not affected, but they are also affected, but the major effect is on the central nervous system. And the symptoms of the effects are loss of consciousness. The patient is not able to respond, or he exhibits nausea, and then he becomes unconscious, and then it leads to seizures, and then finally it leads to convulsions. So effect of the central on the central nervous system are like convulsions, seizures, and loss of consciousness. And then the these brain and the heart, the respiratory system, the skin and the eyes and the nose, in the entire, you see, the bronchi and trachea and all this, they are affected by these agents. What to do? The mechanism is simple, that they inhibit the acetylcholinesterase activity. As a result, the choline is deposited at the sites, and it is not metabolized further, and it leads to the stimulation of these receptors, cholinergic receptors, serotonin and others. And these mechanisms have been very well established in the case of these nerve agents, because it is this toxicity of chemical warfare agents is very thoroughly studied by the defense research organizations. In India also, DRDO studies the effects of these. In animals also, they study. In human volunteers also, they study. In animals, the effects have been found to be the same, but rather severe. The effects in animals are rather severe. Now, what to do? How to manage? The victim, the soldier, is to be managed, and the first thing that is to be done is to clean the patient by water. The clothes are to be cleaned, the shower is to be given immediately, the eyes are to be cleaned, the nose are to be cleaned, even the clothes that he was wearing during exposure, those clothes are to be removed and cleaned. They can be cleaned with water, they can be cleaned with sodium hypochlorite solution, as the sanitization at present is being done against coronavirus using sodium hypochlorite. The same sodium hypochlorite is used to remove the traces of the war agent from the patient. And after this, it is a stabilization. In clinical toxicology, I told you the first thing is the patient is to be stabilized, and after stabilization, the therapy starts. So there are 2-3 drugs which are available to treat these patients. The first thing is atropine, atropine sulfate. You know atropine, we had been talking about atropine, because Atropine has got anticholinergic effect. Anti, they were causing the toxicity through the cholinergic receptors, and atropine is a drug which has got anticholinergic effects. Therefore, atropine sulfate, they have been found to be very useful in the treatment of these patients exposed to serine, tabun, soman, blah blah blah. Then the another thing is atropine sulfate is administered through. It can be administered through intravenous injections or through intramuscular injections. The doctor will decide what to be done. Then we have got certain drugs. They are oximes. They are also very helpful in stabilizing the patient. And then there are certain drugs which are used as anticonvulsants. I told you this exposure will lead to convulsions. It lead to seizures. It lead to unconsciousness. So how that can be managed? That can be managed by using the drug diazepam. You know that diazepam is a tranquilizer. Diazepam helps in the people to sleep. Those who are not able to sleep without drugs, they generally take diazepam, they generally take Valium, the Compose, such type of drugs are available in the market. The same diazepam is very much helpful because it is an anticonvulsant agent. It protects from seizures. So these diazepam is very helpful in protecting the soldier, or in protecting the person suffering from exposure to these nerve agents. So the animal experiments that have been done in these cases, they have shown some very good results, and I can just discuss with you that these animal experiments are, yeah, the human toxicity and then some animal experiments. Animal experiments have also shown the convulsing effects of serine, tabun, soman, seizures, skeletal effects also. And the drugs which are used to treat a genetical disease, myasthenia gravis, you must have heard about, those drugs have been found to be useful in treating the patients exposed to the nerve agents. So, in brief, it is just a summary of the effects or the toxicity that these nerve agents may express in a human population. They are very dangerous chemicals. They are lethal, directly lethal. They have no latent period. They can kill immediately if a higher dose is used, higher exposure occurs. So therefore there is a convention called as Geneva Convention, that nobody is allowed to use these war chemicals against human population. I hope it will serve your purpose, and we shall meet again with some another topic. Keep on studying, stay home, keep yourself healthy, safe, happy. Bye.